Some books get recommended in every group chat, every classroom, and every airport bookstore. This video is not about literary status, it is about why certain stories reliably work for many different readers. We will use 6 familiar titles as mechanism examples. Each mechanism is a reader experience trigger that creates a specific kind of satisfaction. When you know the trigger, you can pick your next read with less guesswork. The 6 examples are Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, The Hunger Games, Gone Girl, The Martian, Pride and Prejudice, and The Alchemist. They are different genres, but they share a key trait. Each delivers one main experience promise very consistently. By the end, you will be able to name the promise you want right now, then choose the book that matches it. Notice that none of this requires you to match a specific age group or fandom. A mechanism is just a promise about how the pages will feel. That is why these titles show up in so many recommendation lists. People are not always recommending the same theme. They are recommending the same reliable reading experience. When people say everyone loves a book, they usually mean one of two things. Either the book is genuinely broad, or the book has a very strong mechanism that fits a common reader need. A mechanism is not a trope list. It is the engine that keeps you turning pages even when you do not normally read in that genre. Mechanisms can be wonder, stakes, curiosity, competence, social friction, or comfort. Here is a practical way to think about it. Every mechanism answers a quiet question in your brain. Wonder answers, what else is out there? Stakes answer, what happens if I stop reading? Curiosity answers, what am I missing? Competence answers, how do we solve this? Social friction answers, what do these people really mean? Comfort answers, will this leave me steadier than I started? You do not need to label every book. You only need to find the one mechanism you want today. Then you pick the book that delivers it cleanly. Mechanisms also explain why two people can read the same famous book and react differently. If a reader wants wonder but gets social friction, they may feel bored. If a reader wants comfort but gets stakes, they may feel stressed. The goal is not to force yourself to like a classic. The goal is to pick the right engine for the moment. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, J.K. Rowling. A cozy fantasy school start with a clear sense of discovery, everyday humor, and a welcoming world that feels safe to explore without effort. The mechanism here is wonder with structure. The book delivers novelty in small, readable steps. New ideas arrive in a steady rhythm. Scenes feel like doors opening, not lectures. That makes the reading experience light on mental load. It also uses a simple progress pattern that feels reassuring. You always know where you are in the year and what the next small goal is. That steadiness is part of the charm. If you usually bounce off fantasy because you feel lost, this is one of the rare series starters that keeps you oriented while still feeling magical. It is also a series entry which matters. If you enjoy the mechanism, you have an obvious next step without having to search for a new world. The Hunger Games, Suzanne Collins. A fast dystopian survival read with short chapters, sharp momentum, and a constant sense of consequence inside a tightly controlled society. The mechanism here is stakes. The book makes outcomes feel urgent, and it keeps that urgency present. It does not rely on long setup. It starts with pressure and stays close to it. This is why it often becomes a gateway book for people who do not read much. The scenes are concrete, the goals are clear, the pace is steady without being confusing. It is also the opening book in a series. For many readers, that is a benefit, because you can continue while the mechanism still feels fresh. If you want a book that makes it easier to focus after a long reading break, high-stakes momentum is one of the most reliable tools. Gone Girl, Gillian Flynn. A modern psychological suspense novel with a sleek, sharp voice and a puzzle-like setup that makes you pay attention to what is said and what is avoided. The mechanism here is curiosity through uncertainty. The book creates a reading loop where each new piece of information makes you reinterpret earlier moments. You keep reading because your mental model keeps shifting. This mechanism is different from stakes. Stakes push you with urgency. Curiosity pulls you with questions you want answered. It can feel more intellectual, but it is still page-turning when done well. This is a good pick for readers who like discussion, rethinking, and that feeling of wanting to compare notes after finishing. It is also a standalone, which makes it a clean commitment. You can try the mechanism without signing up for a long series. The Martian, Andy Weir. A near-future survival story with a practical, problem-solving voice, bright humor, and science that feels like real steps instead of theory. The mechanism here is competence. You keep reading because you want to see how a hard problem can be solved with tools, planning, and persistence. Each challenge is framed clearly. Each solution is explained in a way that feels satisfying rather than technical. Competence books create a clean emotional payoff. You feel forward motion. You feel skill. You feel that the world is understandable. This is why it gets recommended to readers who think science fiction will be abstract or confusing. The setting is future-leaning, but the reading experience is grounded. It is a standalone, so it is also a strong option when you want a full payoff in one volume. Pride and Prejudice, Jane Austen. A social comedy with precise sentences, confident wit, and a small world of manners where tiny choices and misunderstandings feel surprisingly high stakes. The mechanism here is social tension paired with humor. You keep reading to see how people interpret each other and how pride and first impressions shape every interaction. This mechanism can surprise modern readers. The setting is not about action scenes. The propulsion comes from conversation, judgment, and shifting social positions. Many readers avoid classics because they expect slow language. This one is different. The prose is structured and observant, and the humor is steady. If you like dialogue-driven stories, or if you like watching social dynamics in shows, this mechanism can make a classic feel vivid rather than distant. It is a standalone, so it is also an easy commitment to test. The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho. A short modern fable with simple language, gentle symbolism, and a forward-moving travel structure that reads like a quiet conversation about meaning. The mechanism here is comfort through clarity. The book offers a clean emotional arc, and it does not ask you to track many characters or timelines. It reads quickly, but it lingers because the ideas are open enough to personalize. This is why it becomes a common gift book. Different readers see different lessons, and the simplicity lowers the barrier. Comfort does not mean shallow. It means the book is built to leave you steadier than you started. If you want a calm reading experience that still feels purposeful, this mechanism is a reliable match. It is also a standalone, which keeps the choice simple. Now turn the 6 mechanisms into a quick selection tool. Step 1 is to name your current need. If your brain wants novelty and a safe mood, pick Wonder and choose Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. If you want urgency and forward motion, pick Stakes and choose The Hunger Games. If you want a puzzle feeling, pick Curiosity and choose Gone Girl. If you want a clean sense of progress, pick Competence and choose The Martian. If you want sharp dialogue and social friction, pick Social Tension and choose Pride and Prejudice. If you want calm meaning, pick Comfort and choose The Alchemist. Step 2 is to match your attention span. Stakes and competence often feel easiest when you are tired because the goals are clear. Curiosity can feel best when you want a mental puzzle. Social tension can feel best when you want something smart but not stressful. Wonder can feel best when you want an escape that still feels structured. Comfort can feel best when you want something simple that still feels intentional. Step 3 is to give yourself a low-commitment trial. Read the first 50 pages. If the mechanism is doing its job, you will feel the pull quickly. If you do not feel it, you are allowed to switch. That is not failure. It is good matching. One more helpful pattern is to stack mechanisms in a gentle ladder. If you finished a Wonder book and want more intensity, move from Wonder to Stakes. That is one reason readers go from Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone to The Hunger Games when they want the same readability with more pressure. If you finished a Stakes book and want a mental puzzle next, move from Stakes to Curiosity. That is where Gone Girl often lands. If you want the same page-turning feeling but with a more upbeat tone, move from Stakes or Curiosity to Competence. That is where The Martian often works as a reset. If you want smart tension without the feeling of danger, move from Curiosity to Social Friction. That is one way Pride and Prejudice can feel unexpectedly modern. If you want a gentle landing after any intense book, move to Comfort. That is where The Alchemist often functions as a calm palate cleanser. Ladders prevent decision fatigue because you are choosing a direction, not chasing a vague idea of best. Here is the calm bottom line. A book becomes widely loved when it delivers one main mechanism very consistently. Wonder, Stakes, Curiosity, Competence, Social Tension, and Comfort are 6 of the most common engines. When you identify which engine you want, your next choice gets easier and you waste less time on mismatches. If you want Wonder with structure, start with Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. If you want immediate stakes, start with The Hunger Games. If you want a curiosity loop, start with Gone Girl. If you want competence and clean progress, start with The Martian. If you want sharp social tension, start with Pride and Prejudice. If you want comfort, start with The Alchemist. If you are unsure which mechanism you prefer, pick the one that matches your recent media habits. Fast competitive shows often map to stakes. Mystery podcasts map to curiosity. DIY videos map to competence. Comfort rewatching maps to clarity and reassurance. In the description you will find the full list of these 6 books, so you can choose one and start with zero pressure.